Get ready with me. Today I'm going to share how I was able to save $400,000, purchase real estate, and travel every single month for the last 4 years, and I'm 30. So I've been working ever since I was 14. My very first job was at McDonald's, and my mom always embedded it in me, as most South Asian parents do, that it's super important to save. So I did a really good job of allocating a percentage of my paycheck into my savings account ever since I was 14. But the mistake that our South Asian parents make is not teaching us how to invest. So for a long time, I was just keeping my money in a savings or like GICs and term deposits, and it wasn't growing. Then at 21, I started working at the bank, and that's where they taught me about mutual funds, which is what I initially started with. Started to see some growth, but again, it wasn't controlled by me, and it also wasn't like the growth that I would see people talking about when it comes to like passive income and seeing their money double or triple. It was more than my term deposits were paying me, but it just didn't seem like enough. So I started moving up in the banking industry. I became a financial advisor, eventually got promoted into a position at head office, moved into a leadership role, also got my investment license. And that's when I realized that banks don't actually allow their clients to handpick stocks or ETFs or better money market instruments. They actually make a lot of money off of these mutual funds that they sell, which is why everyday consumers don't see as much growth. Then COVID happened, and at that time I was working in the mortgages and loans department, and that's when I realized that a lot of people weren't prepared for an emergency, which is a completely different discussion for a different day. It was during COVID that I started immersing myself in more personal finance education on my own time alongside working at the bank. I then made the decision to start my own investment portfolio, and I controlled it for a year and compared it to that of the performance at the bank. I took a passive approach with my investments where I predominantly focused on ETFs, and to my shock, my portfolio outperformed my mutual funds, and it's because I was paying so much in fees with my mutual fund. At this point, I decided to start a podcast that was all about financial literacy because so many Canadians and people across the globe were really struggling with their finances, whether it came to managing debt, investing, growing their savings, having an emergency savings, and to my pleasant surprise, my podcast actually blew up, and I essentially started my consulting company at that point. So the first thing that I want you to understand is it's so important for you guys to put a percentage of your paycheck aside. It doesn't matter how old you are, the minute you start working, try to aim for at least 25% of your paycheck being allocated to some sort of a savings or investment. Second to this, you want to invest in some sort of a skill set that's going to help you generate a lot of income or multiple streams of income. And I'll get to this in a second.